Welcome to Dr. Jaya's Virtual School. Like School Level 4. Academic Week 13 Science Concept Soils. What is soil? Soil is a thin layer of material on the earth's surface in which plants have their roots. It is made up of many things such as weathered rock and decayed plant and animal matter. Soil is formed over a long period of time. Soil formation takes place when many things interact such as air, water, plant life, animal life, rocks, and chemicals. Soil formation. The formation of soil happens over a very long period of time. It can take 1,000 years or more. Soil is formed from the weathering of rocks and minerals. The surface rocks break down into smaller pieces through a process of weathering and is then mixed with moss and organic matter. Over time, this creates a thin layer of soil. Plants help the development of the soil. How? The plants attract animals, and when the animals die, their bodies decay. Decaying matter makes the soil thick and rich. This continues until the soil is fully formed. The soil is then supports many different plants. Weathering. Weathering is the process of the breaking down rocks. There are two different types of weathering: physical weathering and chemical weathering. In physical weathering, it breaks down the rocks, but what it's made of stays the same. In chemical weathering, it still breaks down the rocks, but may change what it's made of. For instance, a hard material may change to a soft material after chemical weathering. Soil composition. Soils are a mixture of different things: rocks, minerals, and dead decaying plants and animals. Soil can be very different from one location to another, but generally consists of organic and inorganic materials, water and air. The inorganic materials are the rocks that have been broken down into smaller pieces. The size of pieces varies. It may appear as pebbles, gravel, or as small as particles of sand or clay. The organic material is decaying living matter. This could be plants or animals that have died and decayed until they become part of the soil. The amount of water in the soil is closely linked with the climate and other characteristics of the region. The amount of water in the soil is one thing that can affect the amount of air. Very wet soil like you would find in a wetland probably has very little air. The composition of the soil affects the plants and therefore the animals that can live there. Soil profile. Soil profile refers to the layers of soil, horizon A, B and C. If you are wondering what horizon A is, here's your answer. Horizon A refers to the upper layer of soil nearest the surface. It is commonly known as topsoil. In the woods or other areas that have not been plowed or tilted, this layer would probably include organic litter, such as fallen leaves and twigs. The litter helps prevent erosion, holds moisture, and decays to form a very rich soil known as humus. Horizon A provides plants with nutrients where they need for a great life. The layer below horizon A, of course, has to be horizon B. Litter is not present in horizon B and therefore there is much less humus. Horizon B does contain some elements from horizon A because of the process of leaching. Leaching resembles what happens in a coffee pot as the water drips through the coffee grounds. Leaching may also bring some minerals from horizon B down to horizon C. If horizon B is below horizon A, then horizon C must be below horizon B. Horizon C consists mostly of weatherized big rocks. This solid rock, as you discovered in soil formation, gave rise to the horizons above it. Soil profiles look different in different areas of the world. They are affected by climate and other things. Soil types. Sand, silt and clay are the basic types of soil. Most soils are made of a combination of the three. The texture of soil, how it looks and feels, depends upon the amount of each one in that particular soil. The type of soil varies from place to place on our planet and can even vary from one place to another in your own backyard. Soil conservation. Soil erosion caused by wind and rain can change land by wearing down mountains, creating valleys, making rivers appear and disappear. It is a slow and gradual process that takes thousands and even millions of years. But erosion may be speeded up greatly by human activities such as farming and mining. Soil develops very slowly over a long period of time but can be lost too quickly. The clearing of land for farming, residential and commercial use can quickly destroy soil. It speeds up the process of erosion by leaving soil exposed and also prevents development of new soil by removing the plants and animals that help build humus. Today's farmers try to farm in a way that reduces the amount of erosion and soil loss. They may plant cover crops or use a no-tilt method of farming. Soil is an important resource that we all must protect. Without soil, there is no life. Activities. There are many hands-on experiments and activities that can be done to help you understand soil and characteristics of soil. Some of these activities could be used or modified to use as a great science fair project. Some activities and experiments to get you started are soil sampling, experiment with erosion, make a sedimenter, soil as a filter, how much water can soil hold. Soil erosion. Soil erosion is when the soil is blown away by the wind or washed away by the rain. Soil erosion is common in areas with steep slopes where trees have been cut down, in droughts, when crops and other vegetation grows poorly, and rural areas which are overpopulated. Nepal and the Himalayan mountains have severe problems caused by increased population density and steep slopes. Soil erosion can be reduced by building terraces on hillsides, irrigation schemes to overcome droughts, planting more trees to bind the soil together and make windbreaks, and using fertilizers in overpopulated areas to make the soil more fertile. It is very important that the farming techniques used do not damage the structure of the soil, as this makes it easily eroded. Good farming techniques include contour plowing, crop rotation, and keeping the soil rich in humus. Make a sedimentation. A sedimentator tube shows the different layers of soil and the way it settles in water. You can easily make one to show the makeup of your soil sample. The sedimentation test is an easy way to measure the percent sand, silt and clay in a soil sample. It is based on the fact that large heavy particles will settle most rapidly in water, while small light particles will settle more slowly. The Callaghan laundry powder is used to dissolve the soil aggregates and keep the individual particles separated. Soil as filter, filtering and buffering. Soil acts as a filter to protect the quality of water, air and other resources. Toxic compounds or excess nutrients can be degraded or otherwise made unavailable to plants and animals. Welcome to Dr. Jaya's Virtual School. Life School Level 4. Academic Week 14, Science Concept, Crops and Cultivation. Cultivation process. Cultivating. Before we can plant bulbs, preparation of the soil is needed. We plow the soil, take care of the drainage and make the soil suitable for planting bulbs. All this is done with special equipment and machinery nowadays. In spring, we started a new watering fertilizer system. Water is given to the crop by underground tubing. The system efficiently waters and fertilizes the flowering bulbs. In this way, we can cut on the use of fertilizer and water and save the environment. Planting. After preparing the soil, we plant the bulbs. Every type of bulb has its own planting period. Planting the bulbs is done by machinery. According to a planting schedule, the bulbs are planted. We change the bulbs annually from field in order to reduce diseases. We never plant the same type of bulb at the same field several years in a row. The planting machine puts the bulb in the ground at a certain depth and covers it up with soil. After planting, the bulbs are protected from freezing with straw. The Dutch term for this is stokdekken. Selecting. In the spring, we walk through the fields not because the weather is nice, but to check the flowering bulbs. This process is called selection. The selecting people are trained to pick out diseases by looking at the flowers and leaves. The selecting team is trained annually for this job to refresh their memory and learn more about the flower bulbs and flower bulb diseases. After continuous selections, the field are checked by an organization called BKD, Organization for Quality Control on Flower Bulbs. They make sure the field live up to the standard and are free of diseases. Especially for Japanese market, this control is strict. Our entire crop is checked by Japanese standards and therefore of the highest quality. After the approval of the BKD, the fields can be harvested. The fields are prepared for harvesting by cutting the tulip flowers from the bulbs. This action makes the tulip a better bulb. Only the top of the flower is cut, the leaves and plants remain. Harvesting. Most of the flower bulbs growers start lifting their summer crop at the beginning of June. The first bulbs are at this time ripe for harvesting. Special machinery is used to get the bulbs undamaged out of the ground. The Dutch term for this process is called roegen. The machine lifts up the bulbs, clears the soil and dirt and transports the bulbs in large boxes. Remaining weeds, rocks and dirt are removed before the bulbs fall into the box. At this stage, the bulbs are rather dirty and need further processing to become the bulbs you order. Drying. The boxes with bulbs are placed in front of the special blowers called droogwand, drying wall. By forcing fresh and dry air through holes in the boxes, the bulbs become dry. Heating the outside air slightly will shorten the drying time. To find the perfect balance in the duration of drying bulbs is one of the secrets for growing good quality bulbs. After drying, bulbs will be transported to storage or directly processed for cleaning and grading. A special climate control computers is used to dry the bulbs just right. The system monitors and controls temperature, humidity, fans and heaters for 24 hours a day. The computer alarms our storage manager 24 hours a day in case something is wrong. Cleaning. At this stage, the bulbs are still dirty and new. Small bulbs are still attached to the old mother bulb. Of course, bulbs cannot be sold like this and need further cleaning. The Dutch term for cleaning bulb is boelen pellen. Roots and old material are peeled off by hand. Sometimes machinery is used to clean the bulb. However, a number of bulbs are not suitable for this and are cleaned by hand to prevent bulb damage. After cleaning, the bulbs look nice and clean. These are the bulbs you are used to buy at your garden center or supermarket. Grading. The next step is grading the different bulbs by size. This grading machine is calibrated to sort out different sizes of bulbs. The bulbs are sorted by size in large wooden boxes. The sizes of the bulbs in our industry are standardization. During the grading process, the quality of the bulbs are controlled. The flower bulbs with smaller sizes will be used for planting material. This means that these bulbs will be used to produce next year's crop. Directly after grading, the bulbs are counted with a counting machine. The counting machines can count up to 2 lakhs to 3 lakh bulbs per machine per day. The bulbs are counted in different kinds of boxes depending on what is ordered by our customers. Captain export itself are the Dutch exporters. After counting, the bulbs are transported for delivery or are stored in climate controlled storage rooms. Storage. Bulbs can be temporarily stored in our climate controlled storage rooms if necessary. The planting material for next year's crop will be stored for a longer period. A special climate control computer is used to dry the bulbs just right. The system monitors and controls temperature, humidity, fans and heaters for 24 hours a day. Delivery. Before the bulbs are delivered, the administration is updated. This means that the trays are labeled and the transport papers are printed. This process is automated, of course, by special nursery software. The same software takes care of the administration, for example, the production, registration of used minerals and fertilizer and other planting information. Postscripts. A good nursery has a broad selection of flower bulbs which can be subdivided into summer and winter bulbs. The summer bulbs include tulips, daffodils and hyacinths. These are planted in the fall and harvested in early summer. The export of summer bulbs then starts in early July and runs through September. Winter bulbs such as callas and liliums are planted in the spring and harvested in the fall, that is in October through December. These bulbs are available for export from December through February. Major crops in India. India produces different types of crops due to difference in soil and climate. At some places, rice is produced more in quantity and at some other places, more wheat is produced. In some regions, maize, jute and in other regions, sugarcane is produced. The crops of India are divided into mainly 2 types, food crops and cash crops. Rice, wheat, maize, millet, barley Moreover, are the examples of food crops, food grains. Jute, cotton, sugarcane, oilseeds and rubber are known as cash crops. Food crops. Rice is an important food grain of India. India is next to China in the world in the production of rice. Rice cultivation needs 25 degrees Celsius temperature and an average of 150 centimeters of rain per year. Rice plants need water from its plantation stage to harvesting of paddy in its root. Rice cultivation needs fertile soil or loamy soil. River valley and delta areas are suitable for the cultivation of rice. Rice is produced throughout the country, but it is found more in Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Orissa, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Assam. Rice is produced mainly once in a year as kharif crop, but it is cultivated thrice in a year if there is irrigation facility. Wheat. Wheat is the second food grain of India. Wheat needs medium rainfall and low cold climate. Wheat cultivation is suitable for the area which has 5 to 10 centimeters of rainfall and 10 to 15 degrees Celsius temperature. Though wheat is produced in different soils, but it is more fruitful in fertile, sloping and loamy soil. Black soil is also suitable for wheat cultivation. Less rainfall at the graining stage of wheat plant and dry climate during harvesting period raises production. Irrigation facilities help wheat cultivation. Wheat cultivation is generally found in two regions, Punjab, Haryana, northeast of UP and central UP, and river valley of Satluj and Ganga, that is Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh and western Andhra Pradesh, black soil. It is mainly a rabi crop. Wheat has got an important role in green revolution. Maize. Maize is an important khaki crop of rainy season. Maize is cultivated in different areas and in different climates, but it is suitable where temperature is 35 degrees Celsius and rainfall is 75 centimeters. Slopy, fertile soil is suitable for the cultivation of maize. Though rocky soil is unsuitable for maize cultivation, but it is cultivated in hilly areas of Jammu and Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh. Maize is cultivated throughout our country, but it is cultivated more in Punjab, UP, Bihar, MP and Rajasthan. Fiber type crops. Cotton. Cotton is a fiber type cash crop. Cloth is produced from the fiber of cotton and oil from cotton seeds. Cultivation of cotton needs 20 to 25 degrees Celsius temperature and 50 to 75 centimeters of rainfall. Cotton cultivation needs slopy fertile soil or black soil which contains elements of lava. Cotton plant needs wet climate at the time of growing and dry climate at the time of collecting seeds. So it is known as kharif crop. India occupies 4th place in the world of cotton production. The USA and USSR and China are 1st, 2nd and 3rd respectively. Cotton cultivation takes place in Gujarat, Maharashtra, Punjab and Haryana of our country. Except these states, cotton cultivation also takes place in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, MP, Rajasthan, AP and UP. Jute. Jute is another type of fiber crop. Bags, ropes and a lot of other things are made out of jute. Jute cultivation needs hot and wet climate and fertile loamy land. Temperature of 24 to 35 degrees Celsius and 90 to 150 centimeters of rainfall is suitable for jute cultivation. In our country, jute is cultivated in Orissa, West Bengal, Eastern UP, Bihar, Assam and Tripura. More than half of the jute production of India takes place only in West Bengal. India is second to Bangladesh in the production of jute in the world. Cash crops. Sugarcane. Sugarcane is an important cash crop of India. Molasses, sugar and khandasari are produced from the juice of sugarcane. India is the first in the sugarcane cultivate area point of view in the world. Sugarcane cultivation needs temperature of 15 to 40 degrees and rainfall of 100 to 150 centimeters and fertile loamy soil or hard soil. Sugarcane is cultivated from Kanyakumari, southern part to Punjab, northwest, but it is more cultivated in Uttar Pradesh. Except these states, sugarcane is an important crop in Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Punjab, Haryana and Bihar. Tea. India is first in the cultivation of tea in the world. Tea cultivation needs hot climate, excess rainfall and slopy soil. Due to this, tea is cultivated only excess rainfall and slopy areas of hills. Tea is found more in Assam, but it is also cultivated in Karnataka, Kerala and Himachal Pradesh. Tea is also cultivated in Dehradun of the UP, Ranchi of Bihar and Tripura. Coffee. Coffee cultivation needs hot and wet climate and fertile slopy land. Coffee needs more temperature than tea, so it is cultivated in southern part of India. Coffee tree cannot bear direct sunshine and so it is cultivated under the shade of big trees and it grows rapidly beneath the big trees. Coffee cultivation is found in the states of Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Rubber. Rubber is another cash crop. Rubber is needed by different industries and transport industry in this modern age. Rubber is both natural and artificial. Rubber is produced through chemical processes in an artificial way. Rubber needs equatorial climate to grow, but it is now cultivated in hot and wet climate garden in natural way. Rubber is cultivated in the state of Kerala in India. Except Kerala, it is also found in Andaman Nicobar Island, Kurgan of Karnataka state and Chikmagalur district. Oil seeds. Groundnut, mustard, rapeseed, linseed and castor helps us to get our edible oil. Oil is also extracted from coconut. Out of these oils, some oils are used in the preparation of cosmetics. India occupies the first position in the world in the production of groundnut. Groundnut cultivation needs temperature varying from 20 to 30 degrees Celsius and needs 60 to 80 centimeters of rainfall. Groundnut cultivation needs loamy, sandy and light soil. Groundnuts are produced more in Tamil Nadu, but this is also found in the states of Maharashtra, Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh. India occupies second position in the world in the production of linseed. Linseed is produced in Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, Andhra Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh. Linseeds are used to produce kala. Mustard cultivation takes place in West Bengal, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh and Assam. Castor is cultivated in the southern India plateau. India occupies second position in the world in the production of castor. Coconut cultivation takes place in the coastal area of India. Kerala occupies the first position in coconut in India. Welcome to Dr. Jaya's Virtual School. Like School Level 4. Academic Week 15 Concept Science. What is a force? Forces can make an object start, moving, or they can make it move faster. They can make an object change direction, slow down, or just stand still. Forces can even make an object change its shape. We cannot see forces, but we can see their effects on objects around us. Pushes and pulls. Have you ever watched a caterpillar or an earthworm moving along? Both these creatures move by pushing out the front half of their body and then pulling in back half. Pushes and pulls are two sorts of forces. Whenever there is a force in one direction, an equal force is needed in the opposite direction to stop things from falling over or collapsing. Stand a short distance away from a friend and face towards each other. Lean forward slightly and place your hands on your friend's shoulders. Ask your friend to do the same as you. As long as you both push each other's shoulders, neither of you will fall over. You have to understand that when you push or pull, there is a force. Now stand closer together so that your toes are touching your friend's toes. Hold each other's wrist firmly and lean backwards gently. As long as you both pull each other, neither of you will fall over. Twist. Twist is another sort of force. Procedure: use the pencil to punch a hole at each of the card. Now thread a rubber band through each hole and loop one end back through the rubber band. Slip one rubber band over a door handle or hook. Pull the other rubber band with one hand while you twist the card around the other hand. When the rubber band is tight, let go the card and watch it spin. As the rubber band untwists, it forces card to spin around. Twists are a third sort of force. Squeeze. A fourth sort of force are squeezes. You have to push in order to squeeze something into a smaller space. When you stop pushing, the squeezed object will pull and push itself back into shape. So, what are the four different sorts of forces? Write what each of the forces mean. Gravity and weight. Every substance is made of tiny pieces of matter called particles. The smallest particles are called atoms, and they can join together to make molecules. Atoms and molecules are so small that we cannot see them separately. Solids like wood, liquids like water, and gases like air are all made up of these particles. Anything which is made up of atoms and molecules is called matter. The amount of matter in an object is called its mass. Mass is measured in kilograms. The mass of one object pulls on the mass of another object using a force called gravitation. The more mass there is, the greater the pull. The pull or gravitation of the earth is simply called gravity. When an apple falls off a tree, Both the apple and the earth are pulling each other. But you don't notice the apple's tiny pull because the earth is huge and so its pull is much bigger. Did you know astronauts feel weightless in space, but the mass of their bodies is the same as it would be on Earth? Only when the engines of their spacecraft pushing them along do they have a sense of weight. Friction. Friction is the force which happens when two surfaces rub against each other. It is a force which acts against or resists movement. Two rough surfaces will cause more friction than two smooth surfaces. Brakes use friction. The brakes on bicycle work by friction. When you apply the brakes, small blocks of rubber grip the metal rim of your bicycle wheel. The force of the friction between the blocks and the rim makes the bike slow down. Friction also causes heat. Next time you touch the brake hard, touch the brake blocks immediately afterwards. They will be hot. The friction between the brakes and the wheels has created heat. When you rub your hands together, they are causing friction. Can you feel the heat? Did you know a meteor is a rock from outer space? It travels through space at a speed of thousands of kilometers per hour. When the meteor enters the Earth's atmosphere, it encounters friction with the air. The meteor glows and starts to burn. Pressure. If you try to walk on fresh snow, you start sinking down into the snow. All the force of your weight is acting through your shoes and pressing down on the snow. If your shoes were wider and longer, they would press down on a bigger area of snow. Each part of the snow surface under your shoes would receive only a small share of your weight, and so you would not sink into the snow. People who have to walk on deep, fresh snow often wear special snowshoes. When your weight presses down on a small area, there is high pressure acting on that area. When your weight presses down on a larger area, then there is low pressure acting on it. Snow dust shoes reduce pressure. Welcome to Dr. Jaya's Virtual School. Like School Level 4. Academic Week 16, Science Concept, Cell. What is a cell? Cells of animals, cells of plant. It is. What is a cell? Cells are the structural and functional units of all living organisms. Some organisms, such as bacteria, has unicellular, that is single cell, and also multicellular, many cells. Here you can see a picture of a cell which has many parts. The cell is so complex and made up of only one cell. We call organisms that are made up of only one cell unicellular. An organism that is made up of many cells is called multicellular. The cell is made up of two basic areas: the cell membrane, the cytoplasm, and organelles. In this picture you see many organelles and also cytoplasm. This cell membrane as gatekeeper. As we know, cell membrane is the most important part of a cell. It is also called as a gatekeeper. The cell membrane is very important to a cell because it controls what goes into and out of the cell. This is very important because the cell cannot just go over to the supermarket when it needs some more oxygen for cellular respiration. So the whole cell counts on the cell membrane to spot some oxygen passing by and get it into the cell. You can see a picture of cell membrane here, which has lots of pores. So it acts as a gatekeeper. The chemistry of the cell membrane. How does this cell membrane work then? The cell membrane is made up of phospholipids and proteins. The phosphate group that is attached to them are hydrophilic or water-loving. Since the whole cell membrane is surrounded by water, this is very important. The lipid portion of the molecule tries to stay there. This leaves the phosphate group facing out towards the water. If you took a bunch of phospholipids and placed them in a beaker of water, they would assemble themselves spontaneously into a bilayer membrane. So you can see here an inside cell and an outside cell. What is insides of the cell? As we have said, the cell has both inside and outside the cells. You can just see them. What is inside? So is outside.
The other part of the cell is the cytoplasm and the organelles. The cytoplasm is a watery substance that fills up the inside of the cell. It is filled with organelles, enzymes and molecules. The cytoplasm is important. The molecules and organelles, that is mini organs, don't have legs to walk around the cell. The cytoplasm provides them with a means to slip and slide around. Without these things, the organelles couldn't do their job and the cells would die. So, what are the organelles then? The organelles of the cell are the nucleus, the ribosomes, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, lysosome, mitochondria. Of course, cell membrane is also there. You can just see them, the organelles of the cells here, how it is been arranged. The cell structure tells you how the organelles are arranged. Let us first know what is nucleus. The nucleus is the command central. The nucleus is the biggest and most important organelle. It contains the machine instructions for the whole cell. The mission instructions are written on your chromosomes and genes. They specifically state how proteins are supposed to be made. In order to protect the genes and chromosomes, the nucleus is surrounded by another mini cell membrane. You can exactly see the nucleus and how it functions. It contains the genetic material. Ribosomes. It is a protein maker. Ribosomes not only make proteins, but they are also made out of proteins. Ribosomes are tiny little organelles, often shown as a ball in pictures. Many times, ribosomes attach to a huge organelle called the endoplasmic reticulum, which will process and store some of the proteins that the ribosomes make. You can just see them, thread-like ribosomes. Then what is endoplasmic reticulum? Now, endoplasmic reticulum is a big old warehouse. There are two kinds of endoplasmic reticulum. It is called ER, smooth and rough. The rough ER has ribosomes all over, but the smooth ER does not have. Rough ER functions to process and store proteins. It's very nice to know about Golgi apparatus, the postal service of the cell. The Golgi apparatus is the shipping center of the cell too. It packages, labels, inspects, and perfects proteins and other molecules. Many of the molecules that reach the Golgi will be shipped out of the cell and need to know where they are going, so the Golgi labels them. Not only that, but the Golgi has a system of pickup packages from system of postal workers, like called vesicles, that will pick up packages from the ER and take them to the edge of the cell membrane after the Golgi's work is done. So here is the Golgi ball apparatus with different colors. Then what is lysosome? It is an enforcer. How does lysosome enforce? Lysosomes pick up foreign invaders, food and old organelles and break them into small pieces that can hopefully be used again. The enzymes are especially made for the lysosome and work only at a low pH, highly acidic conditions. The most important part of the cell is mitochondria. Mitochondria is also called like the electric company. Remember in the cell membrane how some proteins need ATP to let molecules into or out of the cell. All of that ATP comes from the mitochondria. Remember how enzymes need ATP to start up a reaction. That ATP comes from the mitochondria. The mitochondria provides energy for the whole cell to run. Without the mitochondria, the whole cell would be in a permanent blackout. What are the parts of an animal cell? Here is a cross section of animal cell. which has all the parts of a cell which has been described till now. As we know, the cell is the basic unit of life. All organisms are made up of cells. Most cells are very small. Most are invisible without using a microscope. Cells are covered by a cell membrane and come in many different shapes. The contents of a cell are called the protoplasm. So, what is the glossary of animal cell terms? We have a cell membrane in animal cell, centrosome, cytoplasm, Golgi body, lysosome, mitochondria, nuclear membrane and nucleus, of course, nucleus and ribosome, rough and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. All these organelles are present in animal cell. What's a plant cell? Even plant cell has all the cell parts like cell wall, cell membrane, follicle, nucleus, cytoplasm, ameoplast, all are present. So, the cell is the basic unit of life, and plant cells, unlike animal cells, are surrounded by a thick, rigid cell wall. This cell wall protects it. So, what is the glossary of plant cell anatomy terms? Ameloplast, ATP, centrosome, mitochondria, nuclear membrane, cell membrane and cell wall, chlorophyll and chloroplast, cytoplasm, cristate, Golgi body, granum, photosynthesis, ribosome, nucleus, nucleolus, thylakoid disc, vacuole, stroma, rough and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. All these terms are attached with the plant cell. So, what are the cell functions? The key cell functions are: membranes will interact with outside world, chromosomes and their genes will code information and translate instructions, mitochondria will create energy, endoplasmic reticulum and Golgi tubes will make protein machinery to do things. So, here we know the function. Cell membrane acts as the cell's gatekeeper. Nucleus acts as the cell's computer. Mitochondrion acts as the cell's power plant. Endoplasmic reticulum acts as a cell's construction team. And Golgi apparatus acts as a cell's packaging department. So, the cell has many functions, and cells, nucleus also, what does it do? It directs the activities of the cell. So, cell membrane protects the cells and allows the nutrients to come into the cell. Cytoplasm, the gel-like fluid that holds the organelles, and ribosomes produces proteins that helps the cell grow. Endoplasmic reticulum passages that transports material. Mitochondria produces energy. Golgi bodies packages materials to be sent or received. Lysosome breaks down food and waste materials. Vacuoles stores food, water and nutrients. Cell wall provides shape for plant cell. And chloroplast uses sunlight energy to make food. So dear friends, learn about cell structure and cell functions.
Welcome to Dr. Jaya's Virtual School. Like School Level 4.
Academic Week 17, Science Concept, Matter. What can we find out about matter? In this session, we will be discussing what is matter, what are solids, liquids and gases, what solid liquids and gases are around us, how do we measure solids, liquids and gases, how much can a medicine spoon hold, investigation, how can we measure the quantity of a liquid, how do we measure the amount of matter we have, how do we measure the amount of gas we have. What is matter? Everything in the world is made of matter. All matter is made from very small particles. These small particles are called atoms. Atoms occur naturally throughout the earth and in the water and in the atmosphere on earth. There are many different kinds of atoms. So we get many different kinds of matter. For example, copper is made from copper atoms. Water is made from hydrogen atoms combined with oxygen atoms. Scientists like to classify matter in different ways. One way is to classify it by the kind of atoms that it is made of. One way of classifying matter is to classify it into the three forms or phases of matter which occur naturally. These are called solids, liquids and gases. We also know that some substances can change their form or phase. What are solids, liquids and gases? Solids can be cloth, ruler, bread, rice. What can all solids do? All solids keep their shape. Liquids, oil, milk, tea, juice. What can all liquids do? All liquids can pour. All liquids take the shape of their container. Gases, bottle of air, smell of vinegar, air in a football, bottle of petrol fumes. What can all gases do? All gases take the shape of the container. All gases can escape into the air. What can solids do? Or what can we do to solids? We can cut, we can break, we can build, we can drop, we can stake, we can crush, we can bang, we can bend, we can fold, we can pull and also we can push. What can liquids do or what can we do to liquids? We can pour, we can drink, we can spread, we can splash, we can overflow, we can see it flow, we can stir, we can drop or dribble, we can spit or trickle. Water can run or we can mix. What can gases do or what can we do to gases? Because of the gas, we can squeeze, we can blow, we can pop, we can smell, we can burst, we can squash, We do inhale gas, we exhale gas, we can whistle and also escape. What solids, liquids and gases are around us? All the three are in one, like you can say a lemon or an orange are made up of a combination of solids, liquids and gases. The lemon skin is a solid. Scratch the skin and the lemon gives off a gas that you can smell. So, some everyday substances or objects are combination of solids, liquids and gases. There are other examples like boiled egg, raw onion, cut a tomato, a bottle of Coca-Cola. How do we measure solids, liquids and gases? Thinking about measuring. There are lots of solids, liquids and gases in our lives. Sometimes we need to measure how long or how much of something we need. Is it important to be able to measure solids, liquids and gases? What do you think of measuring how much petrol, or weighing the baby, or buying a certain amount of food, or measuring how much building material is there, or buying cloth of the right size? For everything we need to measure. Here is a story which explains a reason for measuring. Once upon a time, there was a little girl called Thandi. She lived with her grandmother. One morning, she woke up feeling terrible. She was hot and sweaty, and her chest was hurting. When she tried to get out of bed, her legs felt weak and wobbly. She coughed and coughed, which made her chest even more sore. Thandi's grandmother could see that something was wrong. She put her hand on Thandi's forehead and it felt very hot. She could hear Thandi coughing and wheezing. She got a big fright. She began to look for the medicine that the doctor had given her the last time Thandi had such a high temperature. This liquid medicine would help to lower Thandi's temperature and make her sleep. It would also help to stop the pain in her chest. Thandi's grandmother searched for the medicine. At last she found it in the box above the sink. She read the instructions on the bottle to see how much to give Thandi. Then she looked for the medicine spoon, but all the spoons were at their aunt's house. She had borrowed them for the party the next day. So Thandi's grandmother took the medicine to Thandi and told her to drink just a little bit from the bottle. So dear friends, what do you think would have happened to Thandi? Did she get better? Did her grandmother do the right thing? What should she have done? Do traditional healers measure the amount of medicines? How do they do this? Look at a bottle of a medicine. What measurements are shown on the bottle? Is there more than one? What do these measurements tell us? Why do some medicines have directions on the bottle? What do the directions tell us? Why should we follow the directions properly? Why should we always only take the recommended amount of this medicine? Do you think it is important to measure accurately? Why? Why do you think the amount of medicine is different for adults and children? Can you think of any other situations where it is important to measure matter accurately? Do people measure gas? Why is it important to measure gas accurately? Do people measure solids and why? We need to answer all these questions and that's why it is very important to measure liquids, solids and gases. So how much can a medicine spoon hold? Most medicine spoons have an indication of a measurement on them. So let us do a small investigation. Sometimes they have a measurement for a full spoon, that is 5 ml, and sometimes they have a measurement for a half spoon, 2.5 ml. When scientists measure matter, they use many different kinds of measurements. We are focusing on one type of measurement called the volume in this learning experience. This measurement is used when we want to find out how much space a certain solid or liquid takes up. This measurement is called the volume. We measure it in units called milliliters, that is ml, and liters, L. We measure liquids in units called milliliters. This is for very small amounts of liquid. We also measure liquids in units called liters. This is for large amounts of liquid. There are 1000 milliliters of liquid in 1 liter. When we are measuring the quantity of liquid, we say we are measuring the volume of the liquid. The volume tells us how much space the quantity of liquid takes up. So, the volume of a liquid is measured in milliliters and liters. How do we measure the amount of matter we have? The amount of matter in a substance is called the mass. We measure mass in grams, that will be represented with G, or kilograms, kg. We can measure the amount of matter, mass, in a substance using a beamer balance. This measurement is used when scientists measure the amount of matter there is in solid, liquid or gas. This measurement is called the mass. We measure it in units called grams and kilograms. We use grams for small amounts of matter. We use kilograms for large amounts of matter. Different substances contain different amounts of matter. For example, 6 medicine spoons of rice has 100 grams of matter. 6 medicine spoons of water has 60 grams of matter. So you can take 6 medicine spoons of anything and find out how much matter it has. Different objects have different amounts of matter. The amount of matter which something has does not depend on its size. How do we measure the amount of gas we have? A gas is made up of particles of matter, and so we can measure its mass. It is sufficient to measure the volume of a gas. This is because a gas will spread out until it fits any size of container. So the volume of the gas changes depending on the size of its container. What gases do we use around the house? Do people ever need to measure a gas? When? How do you think you can measure how much gas you have? Would it be easy to measure a gas? The gas we buy is always measured in kilograms, not in liters. It is difficult to measure the quantity, volume of the gas. This is because gas just spreads out to the size of its container. If a certain mass of gas is put in a small container, it will have a small volume. If the same mass of gas is now put into a big container, it will spread out to fill the container and its volume will be large, even though it is still the same amount of matter. So what sort of gases do we use in our lives? What sorts of devices or things need gas to make them work? Why do these devices need gas to make them work? Why are these devices useful to us? Here are some of the examples of such devices. A bicycle pump, a football, a parachute, a bicycle or motor car tire, a compressor to pump up tires, air brakes on a bus, a compressor which powers a jackhammer, a pumping primus stove, the doors of a bus which use compressed air, a deep sea driver's air tanks, a kite, aerosol cans, or a gas stove to cook.
Welcome to Dr. Jaya's Virtual School. Like School Level 4. Academic Week 18, Science Concept, Biomy and Ecosystems. Dear friends, in this session we will be learning what is biomy, what is ecosystem, kingdom plantae, kingdom animal, classification of living things, air pollution, fertilizing the earth and nitrogen, the ocean biomy, tundra biomy, tropical rainforest, Arctic tundra, temperate forests, grasslands, the desert biomy and taiga biomy. A biomy is made of many similar ecosystems. An ecosystem is often much smaller than a biomy, although the size varies. Ecosystems are the interactions between the living things and the non-living things in a place. In an ecosystem, the plants, animals, and other organisms rely on each other and on the physical environment, the soil, water, and nutrients. For example, even though they are living in the same place, each species in an ecosystem has its own role to play. This role is called a niche. The niche for one species might be to climb trees and eat their fruit, while the niche for another species might be to hunt for small rodents. For a tree, a niche might be to grow tall and make food with the sun's energy through the process of photosynthesis. If the niche of two species is very similar, they might compete for food or other resources. Sometimes ecosystems get out of balance. If, for example, it rains a lot and a type of bird that thrives with extra water increases in numbers, other species in the ecosystem might be crowded out. The birds might take food or space or other resources from other species. They might eat all the food. Sometimes an ecosystem naturally gets back into balance. Other times, an ecosystem will become more and more out of balance. Today, human actions are having an impact on ecosystems all over the world. Making buildings and roads, fishing and farming all have an impact on ecosystems. Pollution on land, air pollution and water pollution is sending many ecosystems out of balance too. What is a biomy? A biomy is a large geographical area with a certain climate. For example, a desert biomy has very little rain. The plants and animals that are able to live in that place with its particular climate have adapted in different ways to the amounts of water, heat and soil in that area. Biomes are large regions of the world with similar plants, animals
and other living things that are adapted to the climate and other conditions. Earth's biomes are areas with similar climate, geography, and other conditions, as well as similar plants, animals, and other living things. Kingdom Plantae. Kingdom Plantae contains almost 3 lakh different species of plants. It is not the largest kingdom, but it is a very important one. In the process known as photosynthesis, plants use the energy of the sun to convert water and carbon dioxide into food, that is sugars and oxygen. Photosynthesis by plants provides almost all the oxygen in Earth's atmosphere. Because plants can make their own food, they are the first step to many food chains in the world. The first plants lived on land about 450 million years ago. Since then, plants have taken on many forms and are found in most places on Earth. Plants can live in dry places or wet places, low places or high places, hot places or cold places. Humans cannot live in a world without plants, so it is very important to protect places that have plants. Kingdom Animalia. With over 2 million species, Kingdom Animalia is the largest of the kingdoms in terms of its species diversity. But when you think of an animal, what image comes to mind? While mammals, birds, reptiles, amphibians, and fish are the most familiar to us, over half of all the animal species belong to a group of animals known as arthropods. Arthropods include animals such as centipedes, crabs, insects, and spiders. And with over 1 million species of arthropods, this means that the majority of animal species come from a group of critters that give most folks to creeps. So what exactly is an animal? With so much diversity among different animal species, it's difficult to imagine what they all might have in common. First, animals are multicellular, composed of many cells. In most animals, these cells are organized into tissues that make up different organs and organ systems. Second, all animals are heterotrophs, other feeders, meaning that they must get their food by eating other organisms such as plants, fungi, and other animals. Plants are referred to as autotrophs or self-feeders because they produce their own food by the process of photosynthesis. In addition, all animals require oxygen for their metabolism, can sense and respond to their environment, and have the capacity to reproduce sexually, though many reproduce asexually as well. During their development from a fertilized egg to adult, all animals pass through a series of embryonic stages as part of their normal life cycle. Though frogs and humans don't look very much alike, we share many features in common during our embryonic phase. Classification of living things. Scientists have found and described approximately 1.75 million species on Earth, plus new species are being discovered every day. From tiny bacteria to yeast to starfish to blue whales, life's diversity is truly impressive.
With such a diversity of life on earth, how does one go about making sense of it all? One way to make sense of it is by classification. Scientists put similar species into groups so that those millions of species do not seem so overwhelming. People rely on their knowledge of classification to understand what different species are alike. You may have done this without even thinking about it. For instance, say that a friend of yours tell you that he saw a egret last weekend. You have never heard of an egret before, but if he tells you that an egret is a type of bird, you should have some idea of what it is like. Living things are divided into three groups based on their genetic similarity. The three groups are archaic, very ancient prokaryotic microbes, eubacterium, more advanced prokaryotic microbes, and eukaryota, all life forms with eukaryotic cells, including plants and animals. These three groups are called domains. Eukaryota domain is divided into several groups called kingdoms. Kingdom Protista, organisms with such one eukaryotic cell. Kingdom Fungi, including mushrooms and other fungus. Kingdom Plantae, including trees, grass and flowers. Kingdom Animalia, from snails to birds to mammals like. Within each kingdom, species are further classified into groups based on similarities. Human beings are in the kingdom of Animalia. For example, the full classification of a human is domain, eukarya, kingdom, Animalia, phylum, Chordata, subphylum, Vertebrata, class, Mammalia, order, Primates, family, Hominidae, genus, Homo, species, Sapiens. Air pollution. What do smog, acid rain, carbon monoxide, fossil fuel, exhaust and tropospheric ozone have in common? They are all examples of air pollution. Air pollution is not new. As far back as the 13th century, people started complaining about coal dust and soot in the air over London, England. Since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution in the late 1700s, we have been changing the Earth's atmosphere and its chemistry. And industry spread across the globe, so did air pollution. Air pollution has many effects. In addition to being ugly, it can cause illness and even death. It damages buildings, crops and wildlife. The worst air pollution happened in London when the dense smog, a mixture of smoke and fog, formed in December of 1952 and lasted until March of 1953. 4,000 people died in 1 week. 8,000 more died within 6 months. Air pollution is made up of solid particles and chemicals. Natural processes impacting the atmosphere include volcanoes, biological decay and dust storms. Plants, trees and grass release volatile organic compounds such as methane into the air. We are more concerned with human-made pollution
since we have the ability to control it. The pollutants include carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and nitrogen oxides. The largest source of human-made pollution is the burning of fossil fuels, including coal, oil, and gas in our homes, factories, and cars. Air pollution is either primary or secondary. Primary pollution is put directly to the air, such as smoke and car exhaust. Secondary pollution forms in the air when chemical reactions changes primary pollutants. The formation of tropospheric ozone is an example of secondary air pollution. The atmosphere is a complex, dynamic, and fragile system. Concern is growing about the global effects of air pollution, especially climate change. Stratospheric ozone depletion due to air pollution has long been recognized as a threat to human health. Fertilizing the earth with nitrogen. Plants need nitrogen to grow. Plants are not able to use the nitrogen that is in the atmosphere for this, even though there is tons of it available. It's just not in a form that plants can use. So they get the nitrogen they need from the soil where bacteria have converted it into a usable form. In natural conditions, plant growth is limited in many places by the amount of usable nitrogen that is available in the soil. To grow more crops, people have been transforming nitrogen from the atmosphere into nitrogen fertilizers and then adding the fertilizers to the plants. This has been very successful over the past century, allowing people to farm on lands that had not been as productive in the past and to produce enough food for growing populations of people. However, fertilizers are often overused and that can cause problems. Nitrogen from fertilizers sinks into soil, often creating conditions that favor the growth of weeds rather than native plants. Nitrogen then washes into waterways, causing a sulfur surplus of nutrients, a situation called eutrophication. In freshwater lakes, rivers, and streams, eutrophication causes aquatic weeds to grow unchecked. They sometimes fill entire lakes, rivers, or streams. Algae cloud the water, green and slimy algae scum coats shallow rocks. There are various types of biomes. The ocean biome, tundra biome, tropical rainforest, the taiga biome, temperate bioforest, desert biome, grasslands, and Arctic tundra. The ocean biome. The ocean holds the largest of Earth's biomes. It covers 70% of the plant's surface. Life in the ocean is diverse. The smallest creatures that call the ocean home are so tiny that they can only be seen with a microscope. The largest creatures are blue whales, which can be as much as 34 meters, that is 110 feet long. There are many different ways to live in the ocean. Some animals travel huge distances through ocean water. Others stay in the same place on the ocean floor their entire lives. Some burrow beneath the sand while others float near the surface. The ocean is not the same everywhere.
There are many different ecosystems within the ocean depending on the conditions such as the water temperature, the amount of sunlight that filters through the water, and the amount of nutrients. Sunlight breaks through the top layer of the ocean water. It can make its way as deep as 200 meters, that is 656 feet. Almost all marine life, about 90%, lives within this top sunlight layer of the ocean. There, phytoplankton, algae and plants like seagrass make their own food through the process of photosynthesis and are the start of the most marine food chains. The temperature of ocean water varies depending on its location. Water near the polar regions is colder than water near the equator. Water that is deep in the ocean is colder than water that is near the ocean surface. Many animals and other organisms can only survive at certain temperatures. Others are able to survive at a range of temperatures and can live in more places in the ocean. Tundra biome. In the very cold places of the world, survival isn't easy. The soil is frozen, its top surface thawing only during summers, and no trees can grow. Yet plants and animals that are adapted for the harsh conditions thrive. This biome is called tundra. Most of the world's tundra is found in the North Polar region. It is called the Arctic tundra. There is a small amount of tundra on parts of Antarctica that are not covered with ice. Plus, tundra is found on high altitude mountains and is called alpine tundra. Permafrost is the term given to frozen soil. During the winter months, permafrost reaches the surface of the tundra. It is very cold during the winter, with temperatures reaching 60 degrees Fahrenheit, that is 51 degrees Celsius. Very few animals are active in these harsh conditions. In the summertime, the tundra changes. The sun is out almost 24 hours a day, so the tundra starts to warm up. The permafrost melts at the surface and plant life grows. However, permafrost only disappears for a few inches below the surface. There isn't enough soil for trees to grow, so only small plants are found in the tundra. At the same time, a variety of animals come out to feast on the plants. Insects come to feed on the animals, and birds appear to enjoy the insects. Arctic tundra. The Arctic tundra, vast plains filled with grasses, flowers, mosses and lichen, is located north of the taiga forest in Earth's North Polar region. Like all types of tundra, this is a very cold and windy place. There is little precipitation. Most of the precipitation is snow, which insulates the small plants and ground-dwelling animals from the cold. Winter in the Arctic tundra is long, dark and very cold, with temperatures as low as 70 degrees centigrade, that is minus 94 degrees Fahrenheit at times. However, during the short summer growing season, temperatures climb above freezing, thawing the top layer of the frozen soil. The permafrost for a few weeks. The ground becomes saturated with the water that had been frozen all winter in the permafrost. The water forms ponds and marshes that pepper the barren landscape during the short summer. With water and milder temperatures, the Arctic tundra
becomes full of life each summer. Tropical rainforests. Tropical rainforests are home to thousands of species of animals, plants, fungi, and microbes. Scientists suspect that there are many species living in rainforests have not yet been found or described. There are areas of rainforests where plants are densely packed. Areas where sunlight can reach the surface are full of interesting plants. Another areas that canopy made from the branches and leaves of tall trees shades the ground below, preventing small plants from growing. Rainforests get their name because they receive a lot of rain, an average of 80 inches a year. Rainforests are found at and near the equator, where it is always warm and muggy. The temperature doesn't change very much during the year. Where winters are cold and summers are warm. Regions with this climate are common in the mid-latitudes, far from both the equator and the poles. Tropical rainforests are in regions that are consistently warm all year long, close to the equator. Temperate forests are almost always made of two types of trees, deciduous and evergreen. Deciduous trees are trees that lose their leaves in the winter. Evergreens are trees that keep their leaves all year long, like pine trees. Forests can either have deciduous trees, evergreens, or a combination of both. Another kind of forest is a temperate rainforest. These are found in California, Oregon, and Washington in the United States. These forests are made of redwoods and sequoias, the tallest trees in the world. The amount of rainfall in an area determines if a forest is present. If there is enough rain to support trees, then a forest will usually develop. Otherwise, the region will become grassland. Grasslands. Over 1/4 of the Earth's surface is covered by grasslands. Grasslands are found on every continent except Antarctica, and they make up most of the Africa and Asia. There are several types of grasslands, and each one has its own name. Prairies, plains, and savannas are all grasslands. Grasslands develop where there isn't enough rain for forests but too much rain for deserts. Grasslands are filled with, you guessed it, grass. There are many types of grass though. Fields of wheat are considered grasslands, even though they are often cultivated by people. Grass is special because it grows underneath the ground. During cold periods, the grass can stay dormant until it warms up. The desert biome. Deserts are full of interesting questions. How can anything survive in a place with hardly any water? Why is it so dry to begin with? You can find at least one desert on every continent except Europe. Each desert is different in some way, but they all have one thing in common. In order for an area of land to be considered a desert, it must receive less than 10 inches of water a year. Clouds are scarce in deserts. Without clouds, there cannot be rain.
snow, or any other precipitation. Clouds also shade the land, so without them the desert gets mighty hot as the sun beats down during the day. At night the desert can become very cold because there isn't moisture in the air to hold on to the heat. The geology of each desert is unique. Some deserts have sand dunes, great waves of sand weathered from rock that move over time as wind blows the sediment. Other deserts have no dunes but instead have unique rock formations carved by wind and streams that only flow at times when there is moisture. The taiga biome. Taiga is a Russian word meaning dense evergreen forest. The taiga biome, the largest biome on land, is full of dense evergreen forests located just south of the tundra in the northern parts of Europe, Asia, and North America. These forests of conifer trees are also known as boreal forests. It is very cold and snowy in the taiga during winter, with below freezing average temperatures. While it is not uncommon for temperatures to dive below freezing during the summer as well, it is generally warmer then. Days are long during summer in the taiga, ice thaws, snow melts, and it is often raining. Conifer trees like spruce and fir thrive in this climate. The trees grow closer together. This protects them from cold and wind. It makes their albedo low and they absorb solar energy readily, keeping them a bit warmer. There are a few deciduous tree species that can live in the taiga as well, including birch and aspen, but they are not common. Many animals make their home in the taiga for at least part of the year. Some stay year-round. In the summer, birds and insects are abundant. Many bird species migrate to the taiga and breed and nest there during summer. Other birds such as sparrows and crows stay in the taiga year-round. Mammals include herbivores like rabbits and wolves as well as carnivores such as lynx, wolverines and bobcats.